Hey everyone, what's up? So it is flu season, and a lot of you have been asking me some really good questions about the flu shot. So I figured I'd do a quick story about the flu vaccine, which your boy just got. So the most common questions I've been getting about the flu shot have been, how does the vaccine work? Can you get the flu from the shot? And why do we need a new flu shot each year? Which, to be honest, is a lot of information. But I'm going to try and condense and simplify it down as easily as I can for you. Now, if you're interested in all things flu and flu shot, then go ahead and watch the story all the way through. But if you just have a couple questions that you're curious about, I'll go ahead and put title slides and summary slides at the beginning and end of each question, so you can just skip through to the questions that you're interested in. So the flu shot works just like any other vaccine, by training your body to recognize what the flu looks like and how to beat it. Essentially, your body has this whole army of warriors inside of it known as your immune system, which are great at fighting off invaders, which is awesome. However, how successful they are at winning the war against an invader is in part a function of how well prepared your immune system is. The more intel your immune system has, such as what does the invader look like, what are its weaknesses, and what's the best way to beat it, the quicker and more efficiently your immune system can eliminate the infection. But that raises the question, how do you deliver information to cells? And that is where our vaccines come in. A vaccine works by delivering bits and pieces of information about a potential invader to your immune system. So in the case of the flu vaccine, the shot that you get delivers bits and pieces of the flu virus to your immune system. That way your immune system can train against it, so if it sees a virus in real life, it has all the cheat codes to kick its butt. So there are three different types of flu vaccines out there: the recombinant, the inactivated, and the live attenuated vaccines. The recombinant vaccine is literally a bits and pieces vaccine because it's made up of bits and pieces of the flu virus. It's got a select few proteins from the virus, not the whole virus itself, that are shot into your body for your immune system to study. You can think of it kind of like a mugshot for your immune system, so it can identify what the virus looks like, but it's never actually seen it. The inactivated vaccine is a step above the recombinant vaccine because it delivers a dead version of the virus to your immune system. This allows your immune system to rip into the virus and study all of its structural proteins without having to worry about capturing a live virus. You can think of the inactivated vaccine kind of like target practice for your immune system. It allows your immune system to practice taking down the virus without the virus being able to fight back, because, well, the virus is dead. Then there's a live attenuated vaccine. This is the only flu vaccine that uses a live virus in order to train your immune system. And typically, you have to request this vaccine specifically. Specifically. The only live attenuated vaccine I'm familiar with here in the United States goes by the name of FluMist, and it's a nasal spray that goes up your nose, which A, makes it easy to know if you're getting a live attenuated vaccine, and B, seems like a good alternative if you have an avid fear of needles. Now, while the live attenuated vaccine is a live virus, the virus itself has been attenuated and is temperature sensitive. This means that all the parts of the virus that would typically make you sick have been taken out of it. And the virus has been conditioned to only be able to survive in the cool temperatures of your nose, meaning that if it tried to go any deeper, say into the warm temperatures of your lungs, the virus would die. No! Sorry, let's try that again. Can you get the flu from the flu shot? No. If you remember back to the last section we were just talking about, the flu shot only comes in two forms, either a recombinant vaccine or an inactivated vaccine, which means that you're only getting bits and pieces of the virus or a completely dead version, neither of which can possibly cause an infection in you. That'd be like if I gave you some keys for my keyboard, or even my whole laptop without any power, and asked you to write me an essay. Highly improbable that you're going to be able to make that work. Now, flu mist, the live attenuated nasal spray, which is different from the shot, does by definition give you a low-grade flu infection. But remember, the virus that's used for that is attenuated or weakened, so your immune system should have no problem clearing it out with minimal to no side effects, symptoms. So let's reiterate, the flu shot cannot, does not, and will not give you the flu. So if that's your worry, just be sure not to get the flu mist and instead ask for the flu shot. Now, after getting your flu shot, you could experience some aches, some pains, maybe even a runny nose. You could even get the flu.
No, wait! Kennen, weren't you just telling me that the flu shot can't give me the flu? What's going on?
There could be a lot of things going on, honestly, but we're going to talk about 3 of them. The first of which is pretty obvious. In fact, it's so obvious that a lot of us probably overlook it and don't even consider it as a possibility. And that is that the flu season just so happens to coincide with fall. You know, that time of year where the weather gets a little colder, there's moldy leaves all over the place. We want to huddle indoors with our friends and family who might be passing around other viruses that are common, such as the rhinovirus or the paramyxoviruses or that dreaded coronavirus. You don't have to be a virologist to guess that there are a lot of other viruses out there besides the flu that are just hanging around waiting to make you sick. So more often than not, if you feel yourself getting sick after getting a flu shot, it's probably from one of these other culprits. But what about those people who actually do get the flu? Well, there's 2 possible reasons behind this. The first is that it takes about 2 weeks for your body to build up its anti-flu defenses, or immunity, from the vaccine. I know, it'd be nice if we could just get the flu shot and bam, instant immunity. But just like I can't watch an episode of Cosmos and suddenly be a master of astrophysics, my immune system can't just see the vaccine for one day and suddenly be an expert at defeating the flu. It takes time to train your immune cells, and it's completely possible that during those 2 weeks of training, you get exposed to the real flu virus, which causes your immune cells to have to jump into action before they're ready. And this could result in you getting sick with the flu. Now, hopefully, since your cells were already in the process of training, the sickness that you would get would be less severe than if you hadn't had the vaccine at all. At least that's the hope. Now, there's another reason you might get sick from the flu, and this is part of what makes the flu virus so nefarious. There are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of different strains of the flu virus, and it's constantly changing. Our seasonal flu vaccines only protect us against 3 or 4 strains at a time. So it's possible that while the vaccine did protect you against the 3 or 4 strains it was meant to, you got infected by a 5th strain that wasn't built into the vaccine. This could make you sick, and this is what leads us into our next segment, which is why we need a new vaccine each year. So as I alluded to earlier, the flu viruses are wily and crafty little ladies. There are 4 different types of influenza viruses: A, B, C, and D, with influenza A and B being the ones that most routinely infect us and cause us to get sick, giving us 2 different types of flu viruses we need to be worried about. But it gets worse. The influenza A viruses are further divided into different subtypes based on their H and N proteins. You might have heard of flu viruses named after this, like the H1N1 virus or the H3N2 virus. There are 18 different H proteins and 11 different N proteins that can recombine to give a total combination of 198 different influenza subtypes. Now, luckily, only a few of those subtypes are able to infect humans. So far. A pandemic will eventually occur where more subtypes can infect us, but that's for a different post. What makes this virus even crazier yet is that in those H and N proteins, there are regions that are highly susceptible to mutations, And when those mutations occur, it allows the virus to further hide from our immune system. Each time a mutation occurs in one of these regions that allows the virus to evade the immune system and pass on to infect other people, a whole new strain of influenza is born. So now we have two different types of influenza, influenza A and influenza B, to worry about, on top of 198 different subtypes that could potentially be infecting us in influenza A. And within each of those subtypes, they can mutate into new strains that can continually try to infect us. So you can see how there are hundreds and even thousands of new influenza viruses that we have to combat each year. So how do we fight back? Well, with a little guesswork and a lot of science. You see, each year during the spring here in the northern hemisphere, it just so happens to be fall, aka flu season, in the southern hemisphere. So the United States Center for Disease Control, or the CDC, pairs up with the World Health Organization, or the WHO, in order to track which flu strains are breaking out in the southern hemisphere. We then use that information to predict which flu strains are going to be bad for our flu season, and we can build those strains into our flu vaccine. Best case scenario, our predictions are true, everyone who gets the vaccine is protected, and we have a pretty easy flu season. Worst case scenario, our predictions are wrong, everyone who gets vaccinated is protected against what they were vaccinated against, but a fifth and very lethal version of the flu pops up that wipes out everybody regardless of whether they had the vaccine or not. All humans die, and in ushers the era of the dawn of the octopus. And yes, that is how I believe that humanity ends. The octopuses will rule the world. Alright, well, it is getting late. Hopefully this answered some of the questions that you guys had. I hope this was helpful. And of course, if you have any other questions about the flu or flu vaccine, feel free to reach out to me, shoot me a DM, and I will answer all of them that I possibly can, or point you in the right directions, because I don't have all the answers. Just a heads up, if you are going to ask me about getting the vaccine, I am more than happy to talk about it with you. But in 99% of cases, I'm going to advocate strongly for getting the flu shot. The mist is okay, but unless you have an aversion to needles or your doctor specifically recommends it, just shoot some proteins into your arm. It's no biggie. I like to think about it kind of like a cup in sports, right? Like, most likely you won't need it, but on the off chance that you're challenged, isn't it nice to have that protection? All right, friends. Well, thank you for listening to me. Hopefully this is helpful. I gotta go home and go to bed. It is late here, so I will catch you later.